Kick-ass facts. Let's talk about cats and dogs. Pew, 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 pew. Is your dog stressed out? A little tense? Play a little Bob Marley. Maybe some Peter Tosh, my personal favorite, Toots and the Maytals. Research has found that while classical music has an initial calming effect on dogs, after a few days they became bored. Instead, reggae and soft rock came out as the best genres for reducing stress, barking, and heart rates. So if you don't like reggae, maybe a little Hall & Oates or Air Supply will do the trick. According to evolutionary biologist Anjali Goswami, the cat family exhibits very little variation between species. For example, a lion and a tiger have nearly identically shaped skulls, and differently sized members of the cat family are bigger or smaller in a proportionally consistent way. What does that mean? Excellent question. The lack of diversity means they've reached their evolutionary peak and don't really need any adaptive variations. I'm sorry, dog people. Cats have nailed the evolutionary niche that makes them perfect. Hey Gozer, have you heard cats are perfect? Not bothered. Zool, have you heard that cats are perfect? Okay. They're not as concerned about that as I thought. Dogs have been human companions for thousands of years and seem to be able to learn our language cues. New research has found that a few gifted boys and girls can learn up to 100 different object names, mostly toys, though this was far above the norm. John Pilley, a retired psychiatrist, taught his border collie Chaser to understand more than 1,000 nouns. For 3 years, he trained her 4 to 5 hours per day. He'd show her an object, say its name 40 times, and then hide it and ask her to find it. He used 800 cloth toys, 116 balls, 26 frisbees, and an assortment of plastic items to ultimately teach Chaser 1,022 nouns. Cats have a reputation for not listening to people, but new research shows they actually do know when their owner is trying to talk to them. Scientists found that cats reacted to their owner speaking to them in cat-directed speech, usually a high-pitched voice similar to baby talk, but ignored their owner when they were speaking to a stranger. Zool does that. I'll call her name, and I'll see her ears twitch, and she ignores me, and I'm like, I know you can fucking hear me. I know it. Modern dogs have much less genetic diversity than their ancestors. Because of selective breeding, almost always for cosmetic traits, dogs of the same breed look strikingly similar generation after generation. Researchers this year explored how dog genetics have changed over time by tapping into the genome of Balto, the famous sled dog that braved a treacherous 500-mile-plus journey to deliver life-saving medicine across Alaska in 1925. They found that the Siberian Husky has much greater genetic diversity than modern dogs, and this may have made them healthier and better suited to survive in the Arctic. A new study found that domestic cats send signals to each other using odors derived from families of bacteria living in their anal glands. While mostly undetectable to human noses, these scents are important in cat behavior and social lives. They mark territory, attract mates, and repel rivals. But when I try to repel rivals, people yell at me for farting in an elevator. Make it make sense. Dogs experience emotional contagion from the smell of human stress, leading them to make pessimistic choices. This is going to be a bit of a ride. Researchers tested how human stress odors affect dogs' learning and emotional states. So, I need a diagram. So, they had 2 food bowls, one that had treats in it and one that didn't, and then they trained the dogs about the different locations, and dogs were faster to approach the bowl with treats, indicating optimism or positive emotions, and they were slower to approach the bowl that had no treat. Then they placed a third bowl between the two in an ambiguous location, and if dogs approached it quickly, it reflected optimism or a positive state because they thought there was going to be food there. If they were slower to approach, it was pessimism because they didn't think there was going to be any food there. And then they repeated the trials with each dog being exposed to either no odor or the odors of sweat and breath samples from humans in either a stressed or relaxed state. Research discovered that stress smells made the dogs slower to approach the ambiguous location nearest the empty bowl because they thought there wasn't going to be any food there, and they think the dog was trying to conserve energy and avoid disappointment. Last one, both dogs and cats. Greyhounds can beat cheetahs in a race. While cheetahs can run twice as fast as greyhounds, they can only maintain about 70 miles per hour for about 30 seconds. A greyhound can maintain a speed of 35 miles per hour for 7 miles.